Without deviation from the norm, progress is not possible. This according to Frank Zappa, the famous mastermind behind the band The Mothers of Invention, a man who released 62 albums during his lifespan. In my opinion, he was as much an inventor as a musician. Zappa was well acquainted with deviations and freaky detours, and this video is all about that. It is about Lemondrop. This is the freak, also called MicroFreak, of course made by the very supportive and dedicated company called Arturia. And this is the Lemon, an excellent dual granular engine synth made by 1010 Music. A synth that deserves much more attention than it gets. The freak is so freakishly good. Coming to firmware 5, it has so much to offer that if you do not love it already, someday you will. But the freak is lacking in one department. It does not come with onboard effects, at least not as of firmware 5. A freak is usually combined with a multi-stump like Zoom MS70 CDR or the excellent NTS1 by Korg, one of my favorite synths. But why not depart from dogma and let the Lemon join the freak? You can use the MIDI-capable freak as an interface only, just the keyboard, and play the Lemon. Why on earth is it a good idea to add the Lemon to the freak? In addition to having reverb, delay, and the chorus, and the phaser, distortion, and flanger for that matter, it has 2 granular engines, 2 filters, 2 envelopes, 2 LFOs, and an oscillator, a stepped modulation sequencer, MIDI capability, a sample recorder, and a bunch of modulation capabilities, even cross-modulation. Finally, it fits in your hand. It is just as portable as this 3-inch mini CD by Zappa, by the way. My first physical acquaintance with Frank. Did I mention the interesting XY screen on the Lemon? It lets you modulate parameters of your choosing by input gesture. It could be the filter, it could be the dry-wet mix of the reverb, for example, or both at once, like this. I guess Zappa was a combination of a nerd and an exhibitionist, a peculiar mixture in my humble opinion. So the correct term would be geek, as nerd implies social ineptitudes, which bring me to a discovery I made during the making of this video. Quite fitting for the introverts among you, namely that the manipulation of the release of the envelope on the Lemon will result in the popular effect defining our time: glitch. The granular buffer on the Lemon is 30 seconds. You can process external sound sources using both granular engines at once, something the Freak is not capable of. As long as the Lemon receives MIDI signals, the processing is active. No MIDI, no processing. You can adjust the so-called window of each granular engine to wherever you like within the buffer. See the two mountains of sound crossing the buffer? In this demonstration, you will see exactly when the granular engine is processing the audio, because the audio is so discrete. And you will also notice that the visual representation of what is going on is superb. Just make sure you update your firmware to 1.2.5 or newer. How about sampling the Freak on the Lemon and then use that sample on granular engine 1, yes, on the Lemon, while playing the Freak? The granular processing is very delicate and restricted, as I try to make it mimic actual brass instruments. Let's use one of the new granular engines on the Freak. How about scan grains? Adjusting it a little, especially the filter cutoff, I found it to go well with the scanner preset on the Lemon. The preset I use on the Freak is called Auster. As always, it is important to remember that you have to adjust the various parameters in order to get a good match, especially the volumes. Zappa never considered himself a singer, but he just couldn't help himself, could he? My Freak is white, which denotes the vocoder edition, and I just couldn't help myself and send my digital voice into the Lemon. Needless to say, I'm just scratching the surface of this combination of the Lemon and the Freak. Or should I perhaps say scratching the peel? That is, if such a little pun, a micro pun, appeals, you get my point. Frank Zappa was an erudite with interests beyond music. For example, politics and philosophy. A man so disobedient, headstrong, so eclectic and brimming with curiosity. I'd like to believe that he would appreciate the following quote from Kierkegaard, the Danish rebel thinker and philosopher. For it is not what happens to me that makes me great, but it is what I do. Johannes di Silencio, aka Søren Kierkegaard.